All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to what is this, episode 3? We're just starting to live stream the weekly care we do, although we're caring more than weekly, but we try to hone it in on a specific day so we can talk to people, and we'd love to hear what questions. And this is just an opportunity to geek out with you guys. So yeah,
Yeah,
you want to fill people
I
in
think
where
that's
where
really
we're at?
well said. One of the things that we have to do is we've been slowly beating back a mealybug outbreak that we got when we bought a ton of new plants in from multiple different nurseries. So, don't feel bad if you've had pest outbreaks. They happen to everybody. And the good news is if you've got a plan, this is what we tell ourselves, you can fix them. So I just made up a mealybug spray, our favorite kind of DIY custom mix. And I thought I'd show you guys what it is, and then we can blast some mealybugs into oblivion together if you guys are down. Do you want to start with that, Matt?
Yeah, let's switch over to the phone. Here we go, and I will follow you around with this.
All right, cool. So this rubber plant here, I don't know if you can see me. Okay, yeah. Seems to be a great place to kind of show you where I'm starting to see them coming back. And underneath, here's like a good example. They're not all over the plant, and the plant isn't showing too many terrible signs of being upset that it's under attack. So we just need to get after them. And here's a few more. There's a baby little one there. They can get a lot bigger. There's a little one there. I don't know if you can see it. And what's really important to know with mealybugs is when they're in their nymph stage is when they're super small, and here's one here if that's helpful, is when they're super small and crawling around, and they can crawl on your soil. That's how they move from plant to plant. So it's important to not only spray the tops and undersides of leaves, but don't be afraid to get your top layer of soil wet, because when they're in that nymph stage, they are on the move. So I'm going to tell you guys really quick how I made up my spray here, and then I'll show you how I'm going to blast these babies into oblivion. This is a mix of isopropyl alcohol, which is designed to melt the waxy coating of the adults. Those are the bigger ones that kind of stay stationary on usually in the underside of leaves, but they can be on the tops of leaves for sure. They love to kind of settle into the crevices of plants, especially our anthuriums tend to get them down there a lot. And then in addition, the alcohol can dissolve egg sacs of the mealybug. So it's kind of like the moment it touches a mealybug, it melts them away. We use the neem oil because the neem oil, as well as the insecticidal soap, will work as kind of a suffocant. So it'll sit and settle on the leaves. The insecticidal soap will suffocate things that are hard to dissolve, like the egg sacs that might not get blasted off with the alcohol. And then the neem oil leaves a residual coating that also disrupts their life cycle. So just a really effective trifecta. The big thing with mealybugs is you have to treat more than once. As I said, when they're in that nymph stage, they're on the go. So you're probably not going to get everything, even if you do a really great job getting all the cracks and crevices. But if you keep up with it, you'll eventually hit every stage. And especially if you use a 3-part spray like we're doing, that'll attack every stage, you'll get ahead of it. So it happens to everybody, and you can wipe them out. So I'm going to put a good amount of pressure on this because I guess the fourth thing, other than the alcohol, the insecticidal soap, and the neem oil, is just the sheer force when you spray. It can knock them off the leaf. So I do a good amount of pressure, and then I get them good. Do you want to watch me do this, or do you want to spray, Matt? Or?
Sure, yeah, I watch you.
All right, here we go. Whoa, I'm going to do a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right. So everybody has their own way of doing this. I like to do all the tops, boop, 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 on a branch, and then I do all the bottoms. And bleep, blap, blap. Oh, Matt, do you want to tell them about watering while I'm doing this?
Yeah, so let's see. I'm going to move this right here. I'll get in there. Let's see. Let's back this way. A nice shot of it. Oh, shoot. Camera falling. Sorry, guys. I like that angle better. So I have found it's really important to make sure your plants are not dried out when you start applying a foliar. especially, obviously something like soap that's going to be drying the plants out, because if it's dried out already and you start watering, from what I gather from experience, is it seems to suck up whatever that is and dry it out and kill it. Long story short, basically make sure to water before you foliar spray something with soap in it in particular. We got some pump issues.
Yep, I had my release valve open. Rookie mistake.
One of the challenges I've found about Mealybugs is they're basically experts. Sorry, one sec, Carlos. Sorry. One of the challenges we have with he's got.
So I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. It's just soap. I mean, I could probably use a shower.
I'm in the zone.
So you want to hose me down?
Yeah.
But anyways, what were we talking about? Sorry.
Watering first.
Oh yeah, make sure you water first. And one of the things that really makes mealybugs a challenge as far as pests is particularly the eggs and the adults seem to hide in the hardest to get to places, the hardest places to spray. So a lot of times, people will suggest a really light spray for your plants, just creating a light misting. But what I found, you kind of need to drench with mealybugs a little bit, so that way it gets into all the little nooks and crannies really well. That's the most important part to get to. That seems to be where the eggs are. They'll even lay in right in some of the new growth. So like you'll get some of these like wrappings, like this guy, right? And they'll go inside there and just eat that brand new healthy growth and destroy it. So
do you want to show them this plant?
Yeah.
There's another thing that I think is these mealybugs have really taught me a lot. This gorgeous plant here. Right, someone could come to me and say, geez, my plant doesn't look good. What do you think it is? And I might say, well, there's some yellowing and browning. There could be overwatering or underwatering. There could be a nitrogen deficiency. But in this plant's case, because it's my plant, I know what it is. It's mealybugs. And so when you look at it, it's interesting on these plants, to Matt's point about where they hide. I very rarely find them on the backs or undersides of the leaves, but where they love to go is kind of in the veins or the kind of the bottom of where the leaves come out. And I'll show you really quick. Excuse me, everybody. Let me see if I can get my finger on one little teeny tiny one. Can you hold this now while I do that, or tell me if I got it? Can you see that little white dot? Let me see if I can do a better one. This is where they hide in this plant. There's another one.
So it's funny, right?
There's one.
We haven't sprayed in probably 6 weeks, and they're starting to come back. But mainly the crawler phase, I'm not seeing like much from the adult state. So I think the good thing about that is the crawlers, while they're everywhere, they are way easier to get rid of, because unlike the eggs and in the adults who have this really strong waxy cover, the crawler stage, the intermediate stage before they start laying eggs, doesn't have that waxy layer, so they're easy to kill with just soap and neem. Whereas the eggs in particular, you really need isopropyl to basically break down that waxy layer and dry them out.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They usually, let me see if there's some on here, they usually love these silver dragons. And that's the other thing, you kind of learn what plants that they prefer to attack first. And then those can kind of be your, here's a little one. Those can kind of be your canary in the coal mine. If you can see that teeny tiny one next to my nail. Those can kind of be your canary in the coal mine. And then, they'll stay away from other plants that just aren't their preferred. And let's be honest, I overdo this every time. I'm like so obsessed with getting all the leaves that I spray. I just go insane.
Point, like when I started with like some of these waxy kinds of pests, I was really surprised at how much soap and isopropyl and neem you could apply without harming the plant. Because if you're used to dealing with like tomatoes or any vegetative crops, annuals, they get really destroyed when you start applying heavy amounts of soap and isopropyl and neem. Whereas this stuff could care less. It's got a nice waxy, thick leaf layer. I will say one thing I have seen is, Manny was touching on this earlier, you'll start seeing a plant that, even if the leaves themselves aren't being eaten, the plant seems to know there's pests around, and it stops with new growth,
gets a little yellowing, maybe.
It gets a little yellowing. It's really just pausing because that new growth is where the pests go after. So it's almost a defense mechanism to say, all right, I know what you want to eat my new growth. I'm going to hold off until you're gone, is what I've taken from that. Anyone out there who has any other ideas of that, let me know.
Yeah, I will say the other thing, you know, especially, you know, this shop, it can be overwhelming to be like, oh my gosh, am I getting everything? If you just tell yourself, look, I'm gonna do this a couple times. I'm gonna keep getting more and more leaf cover and stem cover. Every time I do it, I'm gonna focus on the plants where I'll do everything, but I'll focus on the plants where I see damage because they do prefer some plants over others. Can help you just kind of stay the course. Because it is a lot to try to get the top and undersides and the stems of every single plant. But
I'm just sitting here helping.
you're doing great. The other thing I just want to say, just imagine, you guys, if I was doing this with a pump sprayer.
You mean
like,
a hand sprayer? Trigger sprayer.
Yeah, sorry, not a pump sprayer.
Well, I'll show what they mean.
Yes, a trigger sprayer, like, you know, your classic Windex bottle type setup. It can be done, but one, you won't get the power, and two, oh my gosh, if you got a lot of plants to do, that's gonna that's gonna really give your hand a workout. And the wands can kind of, I don't know if you're like, this is a great example. Right? You want to show this wand getting in here?
Yeah. So you can't really do that with a pump sprayer.
What? Yeah, like, look at this, like boom. You can kind of, you know, you just trigger sprayer. Thank you. Yeah, you just.
I always forget what it's called.
Yeah.
You know, we only had a garden supply store for a decade.
I know,
so.
we only sell trigger sprayers all the time. Trigger sprayers have their place for
this
sure.
This is what we're referring to as a trigger sprayer.
Oh, okay. Here, I bet this has ones on it. This is a gorgeous moonlight philodendron. I'm trying to pull it. Let's see.
By the way,
I
these
hit
are
it a
so
little
cool.
bit.
They start off with yellow leaves.
Yes.
Which is neat. But.
So it's got this giant yellow leaf, and I suspect these ones are at least at this shop, are susceptible to mealybugs. Just wanted to see if I saw any outright. I don't. This guy also needs to be repotted, but I suspect this yellow leaf. Oh yeah.
Anything? You find something?
It's from mealybugs.
Jackpot.
Yeah, so you can see some of like the residue, maybe some egg cases here. Let's see if there's anything inside. Sometimes you'll peel them open and inside. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and now I've touched it. You can kind of see it there. Some of that in here, and then move off of here. Oh, there's one. That's an egg case.
Oh, wow.
Yep. See it right there. And when you touch it, it immediately breaks up. So, which is great. They come off really easy. But this leaf looks like this because of mealybugs. Also, the plant's ready to be repotted, but that's not why it looks like that. It looks like that. Which is another thing. You can also prune your dead and dying leaves prior to spraying. It just gives you less things to spray. You're not spraying something you're going to take off later.
Cool. Should we
I can take a break on this.
transplant citrus?
Yeah, so that's the other thing we're going to do today. You want to tell them about our new citrus plants?
Yeah, so we did a fun little trip. Let me get this going.
Oh, yeah. Let me just get this last one in this tray. Just so
Alright, so I'll
this
show
way
you
I can
guys.
tell myself.
We made a little bit of a trip to Logie's and are very excited because we bought some new citrus. The light's not great on this, but here. I wanted to show you guys, we're starting to replant some of these. I don't know if we want to do this like this. What are you thinking?
I just wanted to make sure we're not getting any comments, are we? But I see them pop up. Okay, good. I don't know how this goes.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm happy to show them what we've been doing.
Do you want to maybe we could transplant this little guy?
Sure. This one here. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It's a great idea. So we are getting our citrus going. These citrus, I believe, are all from...
Oh, wait. Do you want me to pull the camera around the other side, or do you want to sit on the other side?
Oh, I can come around. I wasn't even thinking.
Look at this.
What is this? Do you know what this is?
Here, come on this side.
Yeah, let me get out of the way. Sorry.
No, you're okay. Let's see. Should I pull a little closer? Yeah, if you stand there, I'll pull the camera.
I'll stand here. Do you want? We can show them. Oh, yeah. Let's do the transplanting of them. I think that's great. Boop. So we'll do this guy. He's just sitting in this little pot, and then actually this guy looks like a graft. What do you think? Do you think this is a graft, Matt? Or you think this is a clone?
So, you know, the reason why I don't think it is a
You think it's a
graft.
clone?
Let me turn that light up back.
Yeah. Yeah. I originally thought they were all clones, but just
I
that.
don't think it's a graft. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Does that make it better?
Yeah, that's great. So you can grow citrus either from clone, you take a clipping and have roots propagate from it, or from a graft.
So the reason I don't think it's a graft is because see the leaf below that? These are cool. This is I'm not sure if I'm saying a kaffir lime. So these are for consuming the leaves and
that's a good point.
foods. So where this leaf is one of those, and that's below that line you were looking at, it tells me that it's the same variety
Yeah, that's a great
below
point.
and above. But it is something you have to be really careful of, and I've definitely made the mistake with citrus where, let's find one that is a graft. I think the Myras that we have.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. This looks like a graft. It's really fun. I think, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I'm not positive. But you have to be really careful. If you buy a grafted citrus, what can happen a lot is, imagine this is a grafted, these are the grafts right here, and you're doing that because you have a healthy, like a really vibrant rootstock that can deal with disease and whatnot, and then you have something grafted to the top that maybe is either really pretty, like this, which has variegation, but isn't as hardy. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds. You have a strong, hardy rootstock and really tasty or beautiful fruit. And what will happen is there will be suckers shooting off of this, and eventually they'll totally overtake this part, the part you want. And so you got to make sure to thin out any sort of suckers on the bottom.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, so we have repotted a few of these already, and I'm just going to tell you how we're doing it. One, we're choosing a terracotta pot. If anyone has grown citrus before, they're easily overwatered and prone to root rot. So terracotta is cool because it promotes wicking, which helps the soil to dry out sooner. In addition, we didn't have a citrus-specific soil here at the shop, but we make our own. And so we use actually Coast of Maine's cactus and succulent mix. We use 50% of this because it's got great drainage. And then because obviously it's meant for cactuses and succulents that don't want to be waterlogged. And then we're just using 50% of a potting soil. And I think we already mixed this one up. Yeah, this looks really pretty good. So this 50-50 mix should do the trick. So anytime we repot, we always put a little bit of soil in the bottom, a little bed for the new roots.
Let's check those roots out.
Yeah. I love this little stake. Ooh.
Looking pretty good. I mean, I will say it looks like it kind of, you see that middle, how it's kind of empty? Sometimes to me that worries me a little that there could be something going on in the interior of the plant where it's like wrapping around the outskirts. It might have been overwatered a bit at a period of time and started to rot out. So I'm glad we're getting into some new soil, although we'll have to be careful not to overwater. But there's tons of healthy, vigorous root growth on this, so that's awesome.
So when
if you pull that out and saw no roots, you'd be worried.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of roots, which is great, but just not in the middle. And yep. And the roots, I just got German. The roots smell good too. No, I was doing the same thing. You inspired me. The roots smell good too. When you have root rot, they'll often not smell great. So that's a good sign. And in addition, they're not like crumbly. They look hardy and healthy. We put a little bit of soil on the bottom so that the crown of the plant is right at the top. And then obviously you want to get this guy centered. And then you just fill in with your mix.
You don't want to bury the top too much like all trees. Let's see. Okay, so you can kind of see. You can see exactly where the plug inside is.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
As soon as they start bumping the soil, the plug.
Right here.
The root riot is showing.
That's the plug.
Yeah, and so
wow.
You can see that. We don't want to cover it too much. Okay. You don't want to bury too much of the root typically, but
of the root?
I'm sorry, of the crown.
Yes, yeah.
Although where this is so new, clearly, I might I feel like it might be a little high. That's all right. I guess this is perfect, right?
You are the master repotter.
I am not. Okay,
if you
so
want to add more, I will not be offended.
I love and simultaneously hate citrus because I always loved them and have killed them so many times that we finally bought these 5 new citrus trees after I went to had a dozen different varieties and I got some sort of disease that slowly wiped them out one by one. And I've had citrus die on me a couple times, and so they scare me when because I didn't fully understand what went wrong. So I'm just terrified that I don't know what I'm doing.
You do know what you're doing.
I don't know.
It's going to be good. You know where you don't want a little more.
Yeah, this is a little crooked.
I know. You are, Matt has the art.
I don't know. I tend to also overdo. And I'll start fidgeting with stuff. So, okay, looks good.
Just got to let her settle in. Let's put her in her adorable little saucer.
But you do have to be careful. Like where I'm wiggling it around right now, you have to be. You might notice I'm pushing down on here rather than like bending right there because I don't want roots to snap while I'm repositioning. So I'm just being very careful not to move the base underneath. But I probably shouldn't be fidgeting with this at all. But that's good. So that'll grow up. We'll kind of over time trim this maybe if it keeps going and try to get some more shoots going. But we got a nice little shoot coming in already. So I'm going to let that build out, and yeah.
Looking good. Okay, so any questions or comments about transplanting or mealybug outbreaks?
And we got to wrap this one up soon. We got a late start today.
Yes.
We got to go home and help bring up the kids. So
yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Feel free to reach out if there's anything that you want to see on future episodes. Otherwise, we'll just keep keying you in as we try to keep all these plants alive. Bye, everybody.